In another house, and that's where a lot of crazy shit went down. Like a lot, but not so much ghostly spirit, more so just like awakening. So coming into the house that I'm living in now, I feel like I'm like fully awake. I've had even, I don't want to say like UFO encounter, which was extremely beautiful and just the most amazing sight I have ever seen in my entire life, which is just crazy. But coming into this house, I have a completely different mindset, and I feel differently about everything. You know, I feel like I'm just like awake. I'm awake, and I know when something's good. I know when it's bad. I practice, um, you know, like cleansing. Cleans this whole house out.
Oh my god, watch out, people.
I smell like armpits and balls in this room. And saging. This one don't need no saging. I purify this motherfucker. Ew! That kind of stuff. Well, in this house, I have had 2 deaths in the family, my grandmother and my aunt. When my grandma passed away, I knew she was gonna visit. Like, I just knew she was gonna visit. She visited my brother in his dreams, and he told me about it, and I wasn't home the night that she passed, but I did get to say goodbye to her over the phone. I feel like she was waiting for me to get home before she visited, and I feel like she wanted to visit the kids too. So, I kind of just waited for her. Like, I knew she was gonna come and visit. I just knew it. I feel like in my family, out of everybody, I'm probably the most open person to this. My brother believes in it, but he doesn't really want to be bothered with it. He kind of wants to know more, but I don't think that he's fully open or aware. My mom is completely shut off. She's just now starting to get a little bit more open, and my sister also knows that we've been followed, or we've had encounters in every single house we've lived in forever. Her herself, but she'd rather just close off and not engage or investigate the way me and my brother would. I waited for my grandma. I kind of could feel her presence, but she didn't come, and I knew within like that first week of her passing was going to be when she was going to be coming by, or her energy was going to be the strongest. I felt kind of on edge, not like in a negative way, but just maybe because I'm dealing with a death, and you know, you don't feel yourself. But I had more energy than like depressed energy, so I felt more awake. I'm really sensitive to energy. I felt more awake than I would have been if I were like sad and depressed. Still kind of uneasy though. The next morning, okay, we all have, see the smoke alarms up there? Every single room in the house has one of those. So there's one here, one across the hall in my kids' room, and another one in my son's room, and then down the hall too. But these 3 are kind of like in a triangle, just how our rooms are separated. Windows are closed. It's cold as hell outside. I guess that doesn't make any sense. It wouldn't be hellish if it was cold. Anyways, it's really cold, so the house is all closed, and all of the alarms start going off. All of them at the same exact time. All of the alarms. There's no steam in the house. There's no fire. These also have carbon monoxide detectors, but it tells you if it's detecting carbon monoxide. It tells you if it's detecting fire. It detected fire, and there was no fire in the house. It was cold. I think this was like November. It's cold. I don't know why all of the alarms started going off at the same time, but my first feeling and thought was, okay, this is grandma. Like, couldn't you come in a little bit? Like, I said it out loud. Like, couldn't you have come in a little bit more calm? Like, it's not time to wake up yet. The kids don't have school for like another hour. I don't want to be paranoid all day. Like, it's gonna make me be thinking all day long. I just stayed in my blanket and like covered up and just waited for the alarms to cut off, which they did after a couple minutes, but the kids never woke up. Nobody woke up. Everybody was fine. They all slept through it. That was pretty cool. But crazy. My daughter ended up getting really, really sick, and I had to take her to the emergency room. They did a bunch of tests, couldn't figure out what was going on with her. They gave her antibiotics though and said she probably had an infection, and she was running really high fevers. So we're sleeping, I had her sleep with me in my room. And I didn't want her to get such a high fever that she was getting a seizure. So I kept checking it. I kept trying to cool her body off. I kept cooling her down by putting like washcloths on her and stuff. She woke up and started throwing up like crazy. I'm like, shit. Got everything cleaned up. Once we calmed down, well, first I could smell. At my grandma's house, they were kind of, hoardish. They would hoard a little bit, and they smoked in the house for years. So, and they didn't open windows. So the entire house had this intense, not like fresh cigarette smoke, but if you've been around cigarette smokers, you know what the house smells like, or like in your hair and your clothes, like that, but times like fucking 50,000. It was a lot. It was a really heavy smell. You could go in their house for 15 minutes, leave, and you would smell like that. So I could smell her house, and I was like, okay, this is grandma. Like, but I wanted to get up. I checked to make sure if my window was open in case someone was smoking outside. No one smokes in my house. The windows were closed, and I just knew it was grandma. And I was like, okay, hi grandma, like, I love you, thank you for visiting us. Oh, my daughter's like tossing and turning, and she's just, her fever's like skyrocketing. I think she was fucking like 103, and I was like, damn, we're gonna have to go back to the hospital. I don't want to do this. I can't keep her fevers down. And then she just nuzzles down. She just nuzzles down in the bed. She seems really comfortable. All the tossing and turning stops, and I can literally feel her body cooling off. And I'm just like, oh, thank you, grandma. Like, thank you. I know that you're doing this right now. I knew that it was my grandma. So I was like extremely thankful. And I know she stayed in here with us all night, because the next time my daughter woke up again, her fever was back up again, and I was getting stressed out. Like, I wanted to cry because I was so worried about my daughter. I could feel my grandma's skin, like, her skin felt like, I hate to say this, but like a caterpillar, like super soft, tender, like just fine, powder soft skin. And I could feel her skin across my face, and it felt like she put her face against mine, and I felt comforted. I felt so much anxiety go away. Really crazy and Abigail was better after that. Like, her fevers went up the next day. She woke up and she was perfectly fine. Like, nothing had ever happened. But to know that she was coming to comfort us, and I know it probably took a lot out of her to do so much, because spirits only carry so much energy. They have to like be able to rejuvenate and whatnot. She used a lot of energy to do that. And that was the last time I had seen her or felt her here in my house. More recently, my aunt passed away, and I'm in the living room with two friends of mine. It was just a few months ago. I'm in the living room with two friends. We're like having a girls' art and paint night, and the Alexa in my son's room starts to really tell somebody off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So if you don't like a KMA.
Yeah.
By the way, she does wear a fucking bra.
She's like going in.
She has one on right now. I don't have on right now.
And I'm like, whoa, like, whoa, like, what is she in there going? No one even like summons her. Like, why is she doing that? The door's closed. We were like really quiet in there. We had low, like, chill vibes music. I just don't know why she went off. But I could feel my aunt's presence. Like, she was a spitfire. Like, she was moving fast. She always had some shit to say. She was always talking and doing this and like telling people everything. Like, but I could feel her presence. I just didn't think anything of it. I'm like, whatever. She's out there doing her thing. Like, she had a really rough last years of her life. Like, really rough. I didn't really know her anymore, but I just heard her stories, and I ran into her when I was visiting out that way in the Midwest, and she wasn't herself anymore. So her last years were rough. But I could feel her energy, and I was kind of uncomfortable by it. When I heard the Alexa going off and talking, I was just kind of like, that's fucking weird. And then went and opened the door and like told her to be quiet, but she was already off. Her light wasn't going green anymore. And then the next day, we get the call that she passed away. And she passed away the day before that. So, and I told my mom instantly, I was like, whoa, wait a minute. Like, she passed how long ago? Because I know I felt her. Like, that's the first thing, like, after I kind of asked my mom how she was doing and stuff, I was like, I gotta tell you, like, I felt her. I know she fucking came to my house. She came to my house, and, like, that's just crazy. And like I said, my mom's not that big of a believer, so I didn't want to, like, push it and be like, yeah, like, did you feel anything? Or, you know, like, I just knew it was her, and I just brushed it off. Like, I just had to let my mom know that I felt her, and that she was still here. But she didn't really, like, her energy hasn't left yet. She's still surrounding us. She's looking for something. She needed closure. I don't know. Something like that. She stayed in my house for a few days, and she brought a heavy energy. She was always like my favorite aunt, but like I said, the last few years of her life were really rough on her, and I feel like there was something that she wasn't happy with me about. So I wasn't sure about her energy. But it was just like little things here and there. Where like the door had slammed, but there's no breeze in the house, and I just knew it was her, even though these are like small things and I didn't really like see anything. It was just like a door slamming, or somebody like this with the cup, you know, which isn't much, which I'm really thankful of. But like I said, I think her energy and her spirit was tired, so she wasn't able to do much. But the feeling that she brought was really heavy, and it started to fade. It wasn't one that just like disappeared. It faded slowly, so I think that she was finally starting to get the peace or something maybe that she needed. And during that time, I was playing a lot of calming music and like native pan flute, and trying to keep the house at ease, because I could feel that something wasn't as calm as it should have been, you know. Or I ended up seeing somebody walk across my kitchen. Like, just take a step from one, there's like an opening, and where if you're in the living room, you can look into that, kind of like a little mini hall, and the stove and fridge are on one side, laundry room are on the opposite side. But I could see somebody go from the kitchen to the laundry room, and I was just kind of like, whatever, like, you know, like, oh well. But just seeing that, and then I was like, damn, you know, I really thought that this house was empty. I didn't really feel anything here. I saged it a lot, but just knowing that, you know, maybe it was just my grandma and my aunt visiting, which was like a completely different thing than if something is taking over. There's a fly in here. Than if it's something that's actually like taking over the house. I have a ton more stories to tell. Even when my oldest son was a baby in another house that we lived in, and my spiritual journey. I'll do another video talking about that, just because that's a long one. That's a really long one. That has to do with like psychedelics and drugs and partying and no sleep, like sleep deprivation, my first panic attack. And I feel like it all kind of surrounds itself. It didn't just, oh, you have a panic attack, oh, you're partying too hard. Like, no, I think it all came together. I got this tattoo during that time, and this tattoo ended up having a huge significant meaning that I didn't know about when I got it done. I was like in a freaking haze when I got this tattoo, and coming out of that haze and waking up and realizing so much about my life years later, and being able to connect to this tattoo in that exact moment when I got it is still mind-blowing. Time of my life has changed my whole perspective on life, and our purpose as humans, you know. It's just amazing how something like that can happen. Like, there might be something going on in your life now, and you're like, damn, why is this happening? Like, why? You know, that we ask ourselves that a lot. Get away, fly. Fuck. You know, and you might not get an answer to your why. You might not find out for years, but there's a reason why. And in my next video, I'll be sharing this whole experience and journey with you guys. Please feel free to subscribe. To the new subscribers that I just got, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I used to YouTube a lot and I had like way more subscribers and stuff, different channels, but I get social anxiety, so I delete everything. Thank you for my returning subscribers and viewers. I know a lot of people probably don't subscribe, they just view, but thank you guys. And the people who have like reached out and support, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And I hope you guys do subscribe and comment. Tell me what you think. If you are like so against a spiritual world and ghosts, let me know. If you've had experiences, let me know. If you're spiritual or if you understood anything that I was saying, let me know. Thank you guys for watching. Happy Halloween.